What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Scythe, and today we're going to be talking about raids and how you can end up getting yourselves prepared for this, because these things are going to be coming out November 8th. We're going to have 3 different raids. 2 of them are going to be coming out November 8th, I should say, and make clear that the Ludarium Clock Tower raid, however, is going to be coming out November 30th. Now, the way that these raids are going to work is we're going to have the first 2 are going to end up giving us various amounts of legendary armor. So the Shadow Altar, for example, which requires 4,500 gear score, is going to give you the legendary headgear, gloves, and shoes, whereas the Moonlight Fortress, which is 5,900 gear score, is going to give you the legendary top and bottom. And then the Ludarium Clock Tower comes out November 30th. I think that they said the gear score for that one. Yeah, it's going to be 7,800. I'm actually reading it right here. That's the update that comes out November 30th and is going to end up including the legendary weapons. So until then, it still is very, very beneficial for you to end up investing into your weapons right now, folks. So essentially the way that a raid is going to end up working is that you're going to end up going into a harder version of an already existing dungeon. Sometimes they're unique, but in this case, we're going to have the Shadow Altar, which is just this, you know, the normal dungeon, one of my favorite ones, actually. I ended up grinding it up a lot. But if you've gone through the Shadow Altar on normal, you have a pretty good understanding of how the raid's going to work. Outside of, it's going to end up being a little bit different than the default raid. But my point being is you understand the boss, you understand the mechanics, right? So essentially what you're going to be doing to end up upping your gear score in this game, I'll just give you a quick rundown. I'll have a separate video that talks about gear score more specifically. But when you end up getting to level 50, you have a whole bunch of opportunity to end up increasing your power. Wherein what you're going to want to try to do is you're going to want to open up the dungeon directory, and you can just check like Tronic's Bunker, for example. You can see right here, okay, so there's the Brass Syri Great Sword, the Frenzied Rune gear, Frenzied Rune top, and stuff like that. And you're going to want to try and look at the names of all of these more specifically, because they're going to be named specifically for your class. So a Rune Blader is going to end up wearing this exact same armor, but it's going to end up having a different name. And it's going to end up looking the same, is my point, right? And the way that, what I would recommend is you buy the entire set, because you're going to be able to buy that very easily on the black market. It's going to be pretty cheap to buy your whole set. And once you get to level 50, by going through the epic quest and everything like that, you're going to end up having quite a bit of extra meso. You may even very unlikely have the possibility of buying yourself an epic weapon, which epic weapons are going to be, they're going to give you tons and tons of gear score, more so than armor, as you can see here. And if you end up getting your hands on an epic weapon, either as a drop or just buying one, that's going to immediately give you 2,100 gear score. Now, 2,100 gear score is going to be the requirement in order to get into hard dungeons. And pretty much what you're going to want to try and do is, if you can't buy the weapon, if you can't afford the weapon, buy some accessories, buy whatever you can, and then forge up some of your gear, even just a little bit. The weapon I would recommend you forge up you know, right away, just because that's going to give you even more gear score than it does to forge up any of your armor. But anyways, you want to try to get to that sweet 2,100 gear score so that you can get to hard dungeons, because immediately as you get to hard dungeons, you have access to epic gear that is going to guaranteed drop for you no matter what. Like every time you end up going through a hard dungeon, you're going to get 1 epic weapon and 1 epic piece of armor. Now, the way that the game works is you can get a weapon for any class in the game, okay? But if you end up dismantling that, you're going to end up getting fragments that in the form of box fragments, right? Like you can see right at the bottom middle of the screen right there. You get the Morgoth warrior weapon box fragment if I end up dismantling this sword. And you need 40 fragments. You get 10 per, but you need 40 fragments to make a box that's going to guaranteed give you either your weapon or different pieces of armor. And you can actually choose which armor you're going for. Now, the best stats that you're going to be looking for is on a weapon, for sure. You want to try and get your hands on both physical attack and piercing, or physical piercing damage, I mean, and then piercing damage as well, and you want to try and get those as high as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect, you guys, because you're going to be able to do raids anyways. Like, lots of people are really going try hard with this game, saying how you need to have everything absolutely perfect. You are not going to need to be the perfect warrior of death in order to be able to take on the raids, okay? And I mean, the fact that we're going to be able to get the sword November 30th, or your weapon November 30th, I mean, that's just going to end up completely outlasting one of these guys, like almost maxed out. You can see I'm rocking a plus 14 sword, and it's like, I hear that these legendary things are like no joke. That said, you can see I'm sitting at 5,000 gear score, which is not too bad. I'm not rocking a good ring, but either way, it's not bad gear score. I think that once I end up getting the legendary armor pieces, I'd be able to very easily get up to that 5,900 gear score to end up getting the other armor pieces, and then you're probably gonna have to level up your armor pieces quite a bit before you can end up going to that 7,800 gear score area. But anyways, skipping through all of the hard dungeon stuff that I just explained, you know, trying to get like either fragments for the accessories and earrings and stuff like that, you're gonna have to be pretty geared up as far as the raids are concerned, right? It's not like it's going to be insanely difficult, most of all because what you're trying to get is not only the gear score to enter the dungeons, but you're going to have to get your weapons. If you're a DPS character, you're getting weapons. If you're a tank, you're just going for armor levels, but you're still going to have to level your weapon because it just gives you that much more gear score than leveling up your armor. Like you can see, this is plus 5 and it only gives 51, whereas this is, I mean, it's a much higher level, so obviously it's no comparison. The higher the level is, the more gear score you're going to get off it, but armor just generally doesn't give you that much gear score, all right? So level up your weapons regardless. That said, when you're a DPS character, roughly you're going to have to do 4 mil per minute. That's the hot spot. That's what you're aiming for. That's what I've heard from everybody out there. I have no experience with the raids myself. This is just stuff that I've heard from people that had raids on the Korean server and everything like that. Honestly, there's a lot of really good information out there that you can end up finding on all this stuff. And one of the big things is you got to have that sweet 4 mil damage, because raids in themselves are going to be timed. You're going to have 15 minutes to be able to complete the entire raid, and so because of it, you have to be outputting enough damage. Now, the thing is, when you're in a raid, you're going to have 10 people in your party. That's where the, where is it? The interface. That's where the enable 10-man dungeon meter is going to end up coming in handy. Where is it? Why is it not here? What is going on? Where is this thing? I don't know. Maybe it's not showing up because maybe I gotta be in a raid. I don't know. But either way, that's gonna end up showing all the damage of all the people that are in the party. You know, and so you can end up monitoring all of that stuff. Certain characters are going to end up having specific goals, like the knight for the Shadow Altar raid is going to have to like try to lure all the ads to the entrance so that they don't end up respawning, and that's pretty much your entire job. Then you can end up having a priest just healing out, and then everybody else is going to have that high amount of damage so that they can compensate for the fact that there's going to be a couple characters that are going to be doing specific roles rather than actually causing damage, right? And essentially you got to be able to defeat this boss, these bosses quick enough so that you can end up actually getting it done and then getting all the stuff, right? So as far as a weapon is concerned, I'd recommend that you get to plus 12 at the least. Anything above that is just going to end up being better for you, so keep that in mind. And then if you're too squishy, you can end up leveling up your armor a bit. As of right now, the only reason people really level up their armor is for Dark Descent or just to get extra gear score. I just like leveling up my armor because I like being a little bit more tanky, and it does make quite a difference to level it all up. So keep that in mind, and, you know, just all things considered, good luck. That's all I can really say. Again, you just gotta be strong enough that you're able to do the damage. If you're not in a guild already, I would recommend you join part of one or just end up creating one yourself, just for the simple fact that you can end up using these training dummies right here to kind of test your damage. We're not exactly sure what all of the resistances are on these guys, honestly speaking, though, so honestly I don't know if they're the best way of determining your damage, but they're pretty much the only way you can. Now, the thing is, too, the big point I want to mention is when you're in normal dungeons, when you're fighting world bosses and stuff like that, there is what the game calls fair fight. this fair fight mechanic ends up nerfing super powerful players so that you don't end up one-shotting world bosses and stuff like that, so that everybody else around kind of has a fair fight. You know, quite literally the definition of fair fight is its own term. And the thing that's interesting about raids is they have no fair fight. So you can get as powerful as you want. And that's really, really exciting for me. I'm really, really pumped to actually see it and try it out. And really, really excited to get that legendary gear because, man alive, does it look beautiful. Now, when you get to the legendary gear, it's going to operate the exact same as all of the epic gear, where you are going to be able to dismantle it for box fragments so that you can get the guaranteed item that you want. And there's a little bit more, you know, explained on one of their more recent blogs. I'll put that in the description for those of you that are curious. But otherwise, that's going to do it for me. I hope I ended up covering everything. If I didn't, somebody please put something in the comment section down below and just be like, ah, yes, this is something very important that he forgot to point out. And then if you guys would kindly end up thumbs upping that comment. Otherwise, I'll just try to catch it and pin it so that everybody can end up seeing that. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Very much appreciate it. If you would please like, sub, hit that notification bell. Helps me out very much. I'm going to have more daily videos on all the MapleStory stuff because I absolutely love this game. If you want to support me, however, you can always sponsor the YouTube channel by hitting that join button down below. Buy some of my real life merch, which is in the description, or you can end up checking out a link down below to Gawkbox, which is where you can donate to me for absolutely free by playing phone games for a couple minutes. Either way, folks, thanks for watching. Really pumped about raids. Sayonara. Stay epic, everybody.